Hi, this is Mariah Gullo from The Hollywood Reporter, and I'm here with Lysa Heslov, who is the director of the documentary Served Like a Girl. Hi, Lysa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good,
Yeah.
good. Served Like a Girl is going to have a theatrical release in August.
Yes, it is.
And it also was at South by Southwest.
Yes, we premiered at South by Southwest. Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about why you wanted to make this story?
I was interested in getting back into producing, not directing, and was looking for something, a project that was interesting to me. A friend of mine who was a journalist who had spent a lot of time in Afghanistan with veterans told me about this competition, Miss Veteran America. And I thought, what a great way to sort of couch this story of these badass warriors in this sort of competition with like pageantry and all these things going on, because humor is so important to me. And I didn't want the audience to leave the film not feeling hopeful. I wanted them to leave the film with sort of a warm, fuzzy feeling and know that they're going to be okay, but that, there is a lot of work that we have to do as civilians who haven't served.
Now, these women were part of the Miss Veteran USA pageant, and it raises awareness and money for homeless female veterans, correct?
Yeah, so you're lucky Jasmine's in here, because you would be on the ground doing 10 push-ups if you ever say the word pageant, you have to drop to the floor and immediately do a plethora of push-ups, and I've done thousands.
Promise I'll do it off camera, guys.
So Major Jasmine Booth created Miss Veteran America as a way to raise awareness and money for homeless female veterans who were suffering. She served in the military and still serves in the reserves, and felt like there was no transitional programming for female veterans. There were really no programs set up at the VA, and so she thought, what a great idea, since these women have spent their lives, dedicated to the military, for them to be able to feel beautiful, and to sort of create this competition where beauty sort of versus brawn, and because in the military, you're not allowed to wear makeup, fingernail polish, color your hair, have sex on deployment. Very difficult when you get your period. It's tough for women.
Yeah.
And so I think that Miss Veteran America is such a great way to bring all the sisterhood of women together and tell their stories.
One of the interesting facts from the documentary is that vibrators are considered contraband.
Vibrators are considered contraband, but they did figure out ways to mail order them to their bunks. But yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about kind of some of the interesting statistics that you learned about female veterans from doing the documentary?
I mean, I think I'm a little always afraid of statistics, because I know that they're never sort of accurate and they're ever changing, but we were able to sort of cobble together numbers through Final Salute, through the VA, through HUD, through unemployment, through the welfare office, that at any given day there are about 55,000 homeless female veterans. And I don't necessarily mean that they're chronically homeless, in that they're living on the streets 24/7, 365 days a year, but we don't think a couch is a home. And and that number is growing substantially. And so I, who didn't know anything about veterans, much less female veterans, when I got involved in this project, was kind of horrified to hear that number. And so I think that was sort of part of what kept me going for 2.5 years, which is, I really need to tell their story and get the word out there, hopefully in a really loving and compassionate way.
Yeah, I feel like the documentary really it really showed how hard it is to make ends meet in America if you're not, doing well and being taken care of and very successful. If you're just kind of, getting back from your service, you might be having some problems just keeping afloat. And I thought it, it really showed that. Tell me how you chose your subjects.
Very interesting. I spent a while casting the top 25, talking to them, interviewing them. It really came down to a couple of things for me because I was a first-time director and had no idea what I was doing. So it really came down to who was the same on camera as off, who didn't have an edit button. It came down to their stories. And then it also came down to, it was a little bit of mirroring. And I know that sounds weird, but I did see a little bit of myself in each one of the girls I chose. So I think it became easier for me to get deeper very quickly with them. It became easier for them to trust me, which was very difficult in the beginning. And yeah, I think that they were all so diverse and had so many different things that they brought to the story.
Can you tell me a little bit about the political issues that are being talked amongst veterans? What
Political?
Yeah, like what the women in your documentary, like what were they talking about as far as what they were experiencing
In terms
just
of
coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan?
Well, I mean,
It doesn't
I think
have to be like super political, but kind of like what were the challenges facing them?
Yeah, you don't want to get me started. I think that if you take a group of women and you give them a 3.5 to 5 month boot camp where you train them how to go into the military, and you are literally making every single decision for them, and you give them a week or more, or sometimes less, to transition out, and then all of a sudden all those decisions that were made for them are now not made for them. And it's a very difficult transition, and a lot of them don't make it, and they end up on welfare, they end up on food stamps, they end up turning to alcohol and drugs, and sadly suicide. So I think that all the girls in my film do have PTSD, and I think that transitioning back into society was and is very difficult.
When the vets, some of the vets in your documentary talked about being sexually assaulted by fellow soldiers. What was your sense on how they deal with that particular aspect of their PTSD?
Well, one of our girls didn't talk about it for almost 20 years. And when she won Miss Veteran America, she felt like she had such a safe space with her sisters in arms that it was able to come out. And she was able to talk about it and not feel shame and not feel like a victim. And she was able to tell her mom. And I think that was really cathartic for her. Another one of the subjects in the film that was sexually assaulted did EMDR therapy. She went away to a retreat for a week, and she's working on it. But I also think that a majority of the women that I spoke to, that I interviewed, that even I didn't use in the film, that were sexually assaulted in the military also suffered childhood sexual trauma. So it's sort of like they entered the military as, I would say, low-hanging fruit. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's the only sort of analogy I can come up with, that they were vulnerable and fragile. And so it was easier for them.
Did you see a difference in how female vets are treated as opposed to male vets as you were spending your time shadowing them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think female veterans, I think this year, actually, I'm seeing a lot of positive change in terms of how female veterans are treated. I hope that the film will also shed light on that. Mm-hmm. But when I started following the vets, you know, I just noticed that we Americans don't really think about, you know, these women that raise their right hand and offer to die for us. And they go into combat zones every day. Mm-hmm. And they're riding the gun, and they're shooting their guns, and they're at war for us. And no one ever comes up and says thank you for your service to them. And but I do feel like, I feel like, and I don't know whether it's like everything that's going on with women, like women in film and women in our careers, but I do feel like in the last year, in terms of women in the military, I'm starting to see a very nice, subtle, yet positive shift.
Mm. And have you kept in touch with your subjects since the documentary was filmed in 2015?
Yes, 2015, even though we kept filming up while we were editing. Things would happen and we would just have to jump on a plane and go film something. I'm in touch with them almost on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how are your subjects doing?
They are doing well. They're doing as well as can be expected for having PTSD, for experiencing what they've gone through. Mm-hmm. And a couple of them have made some really positive life changes. Mm-hmm. And I think they're doing well.
Mm-hmm. So you said before that it's important for you to balance like these heavier subjects with like lightness and humor.
Yes. Humor is very important to me.
Can you tell me like some moments that like really stand out to you in the movie that you're really proud of? Or moments that surprised
I just had characters that were just innately and naturally funny. Mm-hmm. You know, and Jenny was one that was just, no matter what came out of her mouth, it was just funny. And so I was leaving town actually, and we were just standing outside of her house, like shooting the shit. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say that.
No, that's fine. You're okay.
We were like just sitting outside her house shooting the shit, and she tells me the story about like having a rooster like bite her nipple off and eat it, and I was just like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't believe that we had gotten that on film, and I couldn't believe I'd never met anybody that had happened to, but it just, her delivery is so funny. And so there were just those moments that were just, you know, and during the pageant, I'm sorry, see, there I go. I should be doing push-ups right now. During the competition, there were just such moments of levity, you know, because they were all talking about their boobs, 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 their boobs. So it was like, yeah, I mean, we were just really lucky. And I do think that, you know, I don't think necessarily when you see a documentary, I think you can walk away with, take actions and knowing that we need to do something to make the world a better place for them, but you can also walk away and like not want to jump off a building, you know, and have and laugh, you know.
Yeah. What has the reaction from the public been since you went to South by Southwest?
It's been shocking. You know, it's been really shocking. We're starting, you know, sort of to do our festival runs, and then we have all these screenings come up, and, you know, we haven't had a screening where we haven't gotten a standing ovation. And I sort of look around and I'm like, what are they who are these people and who paid them to do this? This can't be my film. But it's been overwhelming, and people just from all walks of life really connect with these women, and it's their story too, and they see a little bit of themselves in these women, and I think that's fantastic. You know, and what's really shocking to me is men love it. You know, I just see them coming out of the screenings and they're bawling, and I'm just like, I never expected to have a male audience. I really truly didn't, and to see their response is just, it's fantastic. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Have you had any politicians or active military reach out to you and give you any response?
We have had a lot of active military in our screenings, and they all unanimously love it. We were in Austin, and the mayor saw it, and I guess was very moved. And so that day, which I can't even remember that day where we premiered, is now served like a girl day. So we were given a key to the city and our own proclamation. I have reached out to several politicians that I know personally, and I'm going to show it to them when we do our premiere in D.C. But yeah, we're just starting out. So,
can you tell me a little bit about Linda Perry's involvement in the documentary?
Yeah, so Linda Perry, when I was shooting, came on pretty early on. We sent her some footage, and I knew that I had like less than a 1% chance of having her write the end song for me. And she wrote back within 5 minutes, and she just said, whatever I can do, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And she just got more and more involved, and then she came on as a full producer, and then she and Pat Benatar wrote this amazing end song for us, which is this fabulous like anthem for women. So it's really cool.
Nice. So I have a question that I ask a lot of documentarians.
Yeah.
If you could hand deliver this film to one person, who would you choose to give this to? Make sure they actually see it.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. One person. Gloria Steinem?
Excellent choice.
Badass?
Total badass. Do you see, I mean, like I said, I saw this documentary. It gets to me. I feel it right here. Do you see this as something that could be a springboard to, like, perhaps a narrative film?
Yeah, so I have had offers from several companies in terms of making it a narrative series. I mean, today, and I could totally change my thoughts about this. I kind of see it as a docu-series, just because the characters are so good, and they're so good, and there's a new crop of them every year. I kind of see it as that today, but I could certainly change my mind. But I do think that there is a really great future other than the documentary for this subject matter.
Wonderful. Well, Lysa, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
The movie is Served Like a Girl, and it is out in August,
Yes.
theatrical release.
Come see it!
Thank you.